Episode 18. Here we are. This is Real Talk. I know I probably just announced it to the public recently, so if this is your first time watching, thank you for being here. Today we are talking about my advice to somebody who's about to take the next step of life. So this might be somebody who's graduating high school and figuring out what's next for them. This might be somebody that is graduating college and figuring out what's next. This might just be somebody that is taking a big step in a direction that they might have never thought they would do in the past. A lot of people struggle whenever they are graduating high school. That seems like it's the first step where you need to make a real decision. It's the first step where you need to actually do something that will affect the rest of your life. And that's a tough thing to do, and it's a tough thing to do because you have so many eyeballs on you. Every question in your direction is what's next. Every question that somebody asks you that might not have seen you in a while, they're asking, where are you going to school? Or they're asking you, what are you doing after high school? That's the only thing that people want to talk to you about, and it gets really annoying. I struggle with that a lot because I played baseball my entire high school career. And whenever I was playing baseball, that was my identity. I've talked about that in past episodes, but baseball was just what I did, And then my senior year of high school, I decided that I didn't want to play baseball whenever I got to college. I decided that instead of going to a small school to play baseball, instead I would rather go to a bigger school and just move on to the next chapter of my life. That was far from an easy decision. And I'm grateful that I had people around me that were telling me, that's okay. My parents spent thousands of dollars on me to play baseball, but there was no ounce of them that was sitting there disappointed that I wasn't going to play in college, because them financially supporting me whenever I was growing up wasn't with the intention of them wanting me to be this great baseball player. It's what I wanted to do. It's what made me happy. So that's why they helped me. Whenever you're making that big change in life, it's hard. And there's no question about that, but you have to put it big picture. You have to realize that maybe this is the new thing that makes you happy. Maybe you don't see a future in what people want you to do. I didn't see myself playing baseball professionally, and I'm not saying that college baseball is a waste if you don't want to play professionally, but for me, I was like, I'd rather move on to the next chapter of my life and do the thing that I really believe I'm going to be doing for the next however many years. I'd rather move on to my career, because then what I'm putting my time towards every day is for something long term. Whenever I was in elementary school, middle school, even early high school, I was putting all of my time into baseball because I thought I wanted to play in college. I thought I wanted to move up to the highest level to play baseball, with the dream always being to make it to the MLB. I woke up every day with a mission. I woke up every day to do something that I knew would get me to a higher place. I got to a point in high school where I was playing baseball where that just wasn't the case anymore. I didn't feel like I was doing this to help myself in 5 years. And that's what hurt. That's when I realized that I needed to make a change. And bringing that up to the people closest to me, it was not easy. And I think that you just have to think about it in that time frame. You might not know what the next chapter is, but if you're playing a sport, for example, and you feel like you might be done, or you might not want to go to that next level, whatever the next chapter would be, feel some different things out. Don't feel like you have to stay stuck in that place. So many people write multiple chapters for their lives. And a cool thing that I heard recently is go back and try and divide your life into different chapters. Try and put titles on those, because then it makes you realize how many different spots you were in your life. Well, I'm not in a crazy long chapter of my life. I'm not on chapter 50 of my life because I'm 21 years old, but it's cool to look back on. It's cool to look back and see what really meant a lot to you at different points. And that might even mean that you rediscover what meant a lot to you before. You might have taken a break from something and now you're back and you want to do it again, and that's okay. You get misguided sometimes. Some things feel right at some points, some things feel wrong at some points. But there's nothing wrong with that. Whenever I decided that I wanted to pick up a camera and I wanted to go to film school instead of go to a D2 or D3 school to play baseball, a lot of people were kind of skeptical about my decision. But you have to realize that whenever you're doing something that makes you happy, whenever you're doing something out of the norm, people are going to question it because they wouldn't have done that themselves. I'm grateful that I did that. I'm grateful that I took that leap, and I'm grateful that I had my parents to support me with not playing baseball in college. I have a lot of friends that play baseball in college, and they love it. But I know that I wouldn't have been in that situation if I played. My brother is a perfect example. My brother played baseball his entire life, just like I did, and there was no question if he was going to play baseball in college or not. To my knowledge, he didn't even think about not playing. So he ended up going to a smaller D3 school and had some injuries his freshman year. Sure enough, sophomore year, he decided not to play anymore. He was kind of worried, to my knowledge, about not playing because of my parents, but my parents were 100% there to support him with whatever he wanted to do. So that kind of made me take a step back. It made me take a step back and realize that I could do what I really wanted. I feel like me and him were similar in that way, where we cared about it for so long, but then we got to a point where it just wasn't everything we wanted anymore. It wasn't the final goal that we were working towards. And we're both driven people. We put all of our time towards things that would help us in baseball, but then we found something different. So seeing him go through that taught me a lot. Seeing him go through this transition period of playing baseball, being the baseball player, into whatever was next, he didn't necessarily have something that he was set on doing, but he knew it just wasn't there anymore. Seeing somebody else go through that was so nice, and it helped me a ton. That's kind of one of the nice things about having an older sibling. You can kind of spin off of different things that you do. But if you don't have an older sibling, that's what like mentors are for. That's what even just older friends are for. A lot of people that I go to for advice, they give you this advice so that maybe you don't make the same mistakes that they made. You're going to make mistakes, but you can avoid them by talking to people and realizing what they did whenever they were starting out. It's inevitable that you're going to have a couple slip-ups along the way, but just take the advice from people that you genuinely care about what they think. Don't take the advice from the people giving you crap about, for my example, not playing baseball and going to pursue film. Don't listen to the people that are saying that you can't make money in film. Don't listen to the people that think it's not a real career path. Do what you want to do. Trust your gut. And whenever you're in high school and you're battling this thing back and forth, just talk to the people closest to you. Talk to them. Hear them out. Hear their opinion. Take some of their opinion. Put that into your own. Take some of their ideas and take them to heart. But the ones that you don't want to, don't listen. You can select. You can pick and choose who you actually end up listening to, whose opinion you end up taking. You don't have to take every single person's input. But one thing that you can do is just take the time to sit there and think to yourself. Take the time to really genuinely know what you want to do. You might not know what the next chapter is. I didn't necessarily know if I was going to do film forever. I really thought I would, and I ended up being right. But if you're in my situation and you're an athlete all your life, if if you're in my situation and maybe you're in musicals all your life, but you know that that's just not what's next. You know that that's just not what you want to be doing in 10 years, and that's kind of eating away at you. You lose that like drive, that passion to go every day because it's for a greater purpose. Trust that there's a next step. Trust that you doing something different isn't going to ruin your life, because it won't. I'm grateful that I didn't end up playing baseball in school, but I probably would have played if my brother didn't quit after his sophomore year. And that's something that has helped me a lot with, like I said before, having that older sibling, watching them make those mistakes. Now I have mentors. Now I still have my older brother, watching him go through life, and it helps me a lot. I have these people that I look up to and go to them for advice. I watch them walk through life, see what's great, see what's not great, and you learn from it. In the same way, as you go through, as you make this big decision of what the next chapter of your life is, you're going to be able to teach people what you learned from it. You're going to have great things that happen. You're going to have things that happen to you that might have never happened to somebody else. But you're also going to have slip-ups. The slip-ups are okay. You're not going to know exactly what your first job is going to be if you're coming out of college. You're not going to know exactly what city you should move to if you're trying to move away. You're not going to know exactly who your friends are going to be. You might gravitate towards some people at first, especially in your first year of college. You might go in there and you're going to make friends with people right away because you just want a group of friends. Those might not be your people. You might go down the wrong path for a little bit, but just believe in yourself in the way that you're going to do what's right at the end of the day. Everything will end up working itself out. Sometimes it takes a shorter amount of time. Sometimes it takes a longer amount of time. But it's going to work out. So just don't feel like you have to get trapped in a box. Don't feel like you have to do the same thing that you've been doing forever, and try something different. I literally scheduled for an AP physics class my junior year of high school because I thought that is what I wanted to do. I thought that my next step was going into medicine or math because that's what I was good at. I got good grades in those classes. I went into that first day of the AP physics class and I thought, this is not for me. I can't do this. I could have done it and I probably could have gotten a good grade, but I knew that that's just not what I was meant to do. That's not going to help push me in the right direction. So I went to the guidance counselor and I pretty much was like, hey, I want to drop down to normal physics. What are the steps I need to take to do that? The guidance counselor told me that there was one class available if I wanted to do that, and it was photography. I probably wouldn't have taken photography otherwise, but sure enough, I went on into that photography class, and here we are. I've been making a career for about 2 years now, full-time in photography. I came to Chicago because I was into photography. My first class at DePaul was photography, where I ended up meeting some of my best friends still to this day. And you just never know. You never know where life is going to take you. Geez, I thought I was going to hate that class, but it ended up showing me my next purpose. It ended up showing me my next step. Dropping that AP physics class that I knew I still could have done well in changed my life. I'm so grateful for that. And that's a story to push you. A story to push you not to go in the direction of people that are telling you what to do. Not if you're good at math and science and you don't necessarily want to be a doctor, you don't have to. Even if you're good at photography but you don't want to do photography full time, you don't have to. I didn't know that until I discovered my passion for photography and I knew that I wanted to do that. I didn't know that day. Don't sit here and think that I picked up a camera and had this light bulb moment that I was going to do this for the rest of my life. Granted, I don't even know what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I like to think it's something creative. Something could happen tomorrow that changes everything. But don't think that there's going to be this one moment that everything is right. Just trust your gut in the moment. If you feel like going out there and trying something new, go try something new. Step outside your comfort zone. You never know where it will take you. Take this advice with a grain of salt. Don't go out and make any crazy rash decisions. Just sit on it. Sit on it for a little bit and think about it. Maybe listen a couple of times. Because it'll make you think in different ways. Hearing my story, I hope it helps you. I want it to help you. And I really just want you to do what you love. If you loved something before but don't necessarily love it anymore, don't be afraid to let it go. Don't be afraid to just take a step away, and maybe one day you'll be able to twist it so that you can still be involved. A quick story before I sign off is that one thing I was afraid about whenever going into photography was that all of my entire circle would just be creatives. All I would be doing is creative. But growing up, my friends were all athletes. My friends were all like business majors. They were all like this stereotypical guys that just like played sports, and I love that. And I didn't want that to change. I still wanted those to be my friends. Obviously, I wanted creative friends. I've been grateful enough to kind of find the crosshairs between them. But one of the reasons that I didn't go to SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design, over DePaul, even though it was a better film school, one of the reasons was because I wanted to be around people that were like me. I knew that I wasn't going to be the normal film student. I knew that I didn't watch a lot of movies. I knew that I didn't necessarily fit into that film niche where I just wanted to be filming all the time, filming these movies. But that was okay. I thought that I was going to be completely away from sports, but sure enough, right after I dropped out of school, I got some of the coolest opportunities to shoot sports. I think actually it might have been a little bit before I dropped out of school. Without necessarily out there pursuing this directly, it's what I attracted. I was still watching sports. I was still talking about sports with my friends. I got the opportunity to shoot for the Chicago Fire. That's the Chicago MLS team. So that right there was tying my camera to sports. I was still around the sports scene who has all these people that I really enjoy being around. I still enjoy working out, and these people are like-minded in that way. That makes a world of a difference whenever you're around people that think like you, whenever you're around people that you can relate to. I was afraid that I would completely leave the sports scene, and that terrified me. That's all I knew. I didn't know much about using a camera. I didn't know much about what the direction of the creative industries were because I didn't really have many people to relate to. I didn't have many people to talk to about it. I didn't know that many people that were actually doing it. But me getting these gigs to work in the sports scenes helps a ton. The photographers that you'll meet there, they're into sports. And they're just like you. I met these people who aren't necessarily full-time sports photographers, but they're so happy to be there shooting sports, getting paid to do it because they played sports all their life. My best friends that pick up cameras, my best friends that are creatives in Chicago that I've mentioned before, they all play sports. They've all played sports, and they're still active. They still work out. They still watch sports. On Saturdays and Sundays, they watch a lot of football. Whenever I'm with them, me and John were on a trip in New York recently, and we're just sitting in the hotel room watching SportsCenter. I was afraid that all of my filmmaker friends would just want to sit there and watch movies, and I don't necessarily watch a lot of movies. That sounds so stupid, but there's these irrational fears that you face whenever you're taking this new step in a new direction. You don't have an expertise in these different fields. You don't have much knowledge in this field that you want to pursue, but that's okay. You're going to meet people that are just like you. Everyone had so much uncertainty whenever they were trying to do what they're doing now. I'm not even close to where I think I can end up, but I'm so much closer than I thought I could get. Not that I knew I could get here, but I'm so much closer than I was a year ago. I think you need to just take that and realize that you're not going to be comfortable, you know? But you're going to find people that align with you along the way. I'm so grateful to have these people in my life. And I just want you to know that you can make this next step and everything will be okay. You can make this next step and it might not be in the exact direction that your entire life is going to end up going, but it will take you in a direction that will end up solving the rest of your life. Maybe it'll introduce you to somebody that will show you your next purpose. Maybe it will twist and turn until you feel that you found your niche within that field. Do what you actually want. Don't do what you've been doing your entire life. If you want to keep doing what you've been doing your entire life, then by all means do it. But if you feel like there's something next and there's something new that you want to work towards, just go for it. Thank you so much for watching. I really enjoyed this episode. This is something that I'm passionate about. I've had these conversations a lot with different people. My sister's about to graduate high school. A bunch of my friends are about to graduate college. So they're all in this weird in-between phase. And I felt the need to talk about this on here. So thank you a ton for watching. I'm not going anywhere. So you better stick around. You better keep watching. And I can't wait to see you guys soon. Peace out.